And we are live. Welcome to MBTI, everybody. This is your host, Daniel, starting off our first live event of the new year about kind of relationships, the self, the universe, your role in it, and finding the one. I wish I had some light drop in music here. Finding the one is a very interesting topic because people, it's one of those things where we look at the new year, we look at what we want, and we don't necessarily know how to get there, right? Especially when things aren't in our direct control for how they seem to be. And a great example of this is, let's just say, finding somebody to share your life with, somebody to be with romantically, or it could just be like a friendship. And so two things, or I wouldn't say two things. There's going to be a lot of things I'm going to be talking about in this video that I'm going to really emphasize with a sense of I've followed this process, or I've followed these ideas to the caves in which they dwell, meaning, there's certain things that I just don't necessarily believe, but I believe it's like fundamentally, like intrinsically true. And so this is subject to pretty much your own opinion. This conversation is really just going to be about sharing my thoughts on how you really can find the one, what they really don't tell you, in mainstream, and some different things that you can do, to really, put that boat into motion to really find somebody. So, and a good example, for me anyway, happened last night. And I'm not going to go from like the last experience, but what I will do is I will, un momento. Cool. What I will do is I will share an experience related event that happens to me quite frequently, and it probably happens to a lot of people as well. The thing about situations in life is that we have this like extreme power as people. Like people don't realize that they're superheroes. We never realize that we can actually really be observant to our everyday reality. We can actually really see what's going on in real time. And it may just sound totally obvious, but when you start connecting the dots over time, in any aspect of your life, things can, certain things just become more real. Hey, Benny. And so one of the observations that I've had, and this is something, I believe that people fundamentally need to understand, is that there's no such thing as the one. And so I titled this video called Finding the One, because finding the one doesn't necessarily entail that person just being the only one for you. You can have plenty of people who significantly impact your life, because at the end of the day, these people are just another part to your story. And as hard as it may sound, the reality is pretty much that. I have dated and experienced people, both intimate and, I've experienced a lot of people, and I always want to learn about other people's experiences and what they have gone through in their life along this idea of their journey with experiencing other people. And oh, nobody's chatting yet. Hold on. Sorry for the interruption. But anyway, so I've always wanted to understand people's ideas or how they formulated their perception of the one, and where people. Oh, what just happened? What just happened? Okay. Yeah, I know. I have no idea what just happened. Technical difficulties. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, yeah, I know I'm still alive. I can, my screen just went black for a second, but I think I'm good now. Okay. So if you're still here, great. All right. So anyway, my point that I was trying to get at is that if you want to find the one, you have to look at the mindset you have to seeing certain ideologies that you may have that may kind of disrupt you finding this person. Because I really believe that there's just a lot of people out there for each and every one of you. It's just a matter of aligning yourself with you, your mission, what you want to do with yourself in life, calibrating with what brings you joy and happiness, and that aligning with other people similar to the path that you have, right? And so this is a great opportunity for 2017 because as I was talking to a lot of people last night, congratulating them on the new year, surviving, one thing that I emphasized to people was to, remember that in 2017, I want you to completely be where you want to be, the lifestyle you want to live, and, be with somebody that really matters to you. And I want you to really bring the lifestyle you want to live to life or, to fruition. And that's actually a very powerful goal. It's a very hard goal to obtain because if we could just live our dream, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. But on the way, we come across a lot of different experiences. So if I wish I could create like a visual for you guys, but there's just so many things that are involved with finding the one or finding one of the ones. One of it is having a life balance. Part of it is aligning yourself with your purpose or your personal enjoyment for life. Part of it is exploring new opportunities and always exploring opportunities. New people, maybe new careers, new experiences. I work with a lot of men who, they come to me and they're like, hey Dan, like I'm very depressed. I'm in this place where I'm just not, I'm not really good at this, X, Y, and Z. And people tend to focus on all the little details of what it takes to meet somebody. When you meet the right person, everything really lines up pretty much. And it's not really about the little details, what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you let your fears take over in life, you'll never align yourself to the things that are meant to happen for you by your own architectural kind of creationist way of doing things. We're all architects in our life. And so if you live a life of comfort and fear and you do not grow and you do not experience new experiences or opportunities, you limit yourself to what you do really want. We live in a world where we're kind of like waking up to like and seeing it more, right, presented to us. And I see this all the time when when you see somebody like who's really famous, they show up to like a live event and everyone's like there in the crowd, like, oh my God, this person I follow, and so this person has all these followers. He goes to or he or she is like the main event, this famous person. And it's crazy to me because we have so many outlined celebrities of like what it looks like when somebody really just gets out of their comfort and really gets out there with their their opportunity that they want for themselves, with the lifestyle that they do want for themselves. It's crazy that we have like this. It's not an awakening. It's like a kind of like I just like a revolution of purpose or revolution of really going after what we want. And I think obviously people have been doing this for a very long time. But if you notice, the people who are really, anytime that you hear, I'll give you a good example. Anytime you hear about a story, let's just say a couple, and then you listen to like, oh, like how did you guys meet kind of conversation. None of those conversations or those stories ever are really boring. They're never boring. They always have to do what they could be boring, but most of the time they have to do with actually experiencing something new together, right? It's either like they just met or they ran into each other or they're at some kind of event something new. It's either a new experience, a new opportunity. Something's always different, right? That's kind of why we kind of pursue people and everything in life. It's because, you know, we want to explore the unknown. You know, it's weird. We have like this catch-22 of, I want to experience something new, but I'm afraid to experience something new. And that this is not just in the world of finding someone, it's in the world of, you know, getting out there and putting yourself, you know, on the center stage of giving back to the world. So, you know, there's a lot of different elements, you know, which is my point. There's a lot of different elements to finding someone. You know, if you were to reach out to me right now and say, Dan, I do not know where to begin to find somebody. It's not as complicated as that, really. It's actually really simple. You know, finding someone has nothing to do with finding somebody, believe it or not. It really all it has to do about your state of, you know, where you are mindfully. You know, it depends on where you are pretty much as far as the balance of your life, you know. And we'll just take a random person, for example. All right, let's just say that there's a guy named, wait, hold on. More about finding yourself in relation to meeting someone else. Yeah, because you are a direct match to who, you know, who you kind of are around in real life. So if you're depressed and you're not really in the best place, you know, you may come across more often or not both extremes of people who are in the same place you are, or people who really want to help you out, right? Very extreme situations, or people who really want to put you down, right? The universe just doesn't give you like a support package, right? And like the Hunger Games, they don't drop down like from the sky like a band-aid for you. You know, if you're in a bad place, you're going to stay in a bad place. But if you want to be in a different place, you have to make that motion for yourself. Um, yeah. Lord Pharaoh in the chats right here asked, finding is essentially changing a mindset, and that's exactly right. You know, it's really crazy because anytime I work with somebody, it's always a mindset that keeps them from holding them back from whatever it may be. And when it has to do with men finding women, and you know, like I was saying, you know, like the starter pack of what I unravel for people, it's like, you know, okay, so like, what are you doing with yourself? Like, what are you doing that you're giving back? Like, oh, well, I'm not giving back. The person might say, right? And I'm like, okay, are you experiencing anything new? Are you meeting new people? Are you doing things that you enjoy doing? Are you doing those hobbies with other people that you don't know? Are you just kind of getting out there? Are you always exploring? Because you have to remember that when you're exploring and you're experiencing new things, you know, life kind of goes like this, you know, and people don't realize that this equals every different aspect of your life. If you go out and go to one event, it can mean that you may meet career opportunities, even if it's not in a career opportunity place. You know, they say that networking events are failing because there's just way more synergy out there than networking events. And so, like, if you want to meet somebody and find the one, you really just got to work on yourself and just continuously experience new things and really kind of live on your own personal edge, really identify what you want for yourself. And one of the hardest things that I think anybody can really do is ask yourself, what kind of partner do I actually really want? And is that the partner that I'm a match to now? Or is this a partner that I'm create or that I'm looking for when I'm myself evolved from where I am now? Because you have to remember, we go through life through a sequence of checkpoints, and checkpoints aren't necessarily positive or negative. You know, you can have a checkpoint or a part, you know, a different point in your life, you know, where you actually went backwards, right? Because you haven't learned, you know, whatever lessons that you kind of cycle through, you know, certain situations that you're still conditioned in. You know, there's tons of things that we kind of interlock in because, you know, we find comfort and discomfort sometimes. And we all know what that feels like. But the idea is that, hold on, I'm just reading the comments. We don't have to deal with others, not even pride or massive blindness to your own weakness. Yeah. So my point is, you have to kind of track yourself, track your progress in some way. You really want to find someone, you have to ask yourself, okay, is the person that I want to be with or experience, right? Because you can't put a label on how long you would meet this person for. That's why I always tell people to appreciate people for in the moment, and really be present, and really have gratitude that you are able to really experience somebody for as long as you can, because you never know if you're going to see them again, right? Ask yourself if you are actually in a place where it makes sense that that the person you want to be with, you can see yourself being with, and then vice versa. Because you have to remember, let's just say you want to be with, let's just say someone who's very attractive. They are living their life of purpose. They are like, they have their own thing going on, and they're very busy, and like, you can visualize, just pretend to be kind of a little exaggerative, right? Are you a match to that? Are you a match to the kind of lifestyle that this person even is living, right? You don't necessarily have to go in that far and really kind of contemplate, am I the right person for this for this person that I think I want to be with? Because the idea is that you just want to get out there anyway and try and find this person. You don't want to know what they look like. It's like they're an enigma to your own creation, right? That's like kind of the beauty of kind of existing. It's like, okay, there's gonna be me, and I'm gonna be whatever state I'm in when I find this person. And so it's all about, at that point, calibrating to that person, as well as trying to be in the best possible place I can be in for myself, and be balanced and motivated and empowered, on your own journey. So there's a lot, like in my mind, there's like a lot of different intersecting webs that kind of come at to this one point, and this one point always moves, right? So imagine like a dot that has like over like 10,000, just for a number's sake, 10,000 different lines coming through this one pinpoint, which is you. And these lines are always changing, right? And you're just kind of floating, and you're moving through time. And you never know if you're going to be a match to one person or the other. You may meet one person, 10 years ago, and, you don't think it would have worked out, but then you evolved and you became actually a person where you'd want to be with that person, from back then. And the person you thought you wanted to be with now, right, it just didn't work out. So you have to be mindful and aware of where you are now. You have to continuously live life for yourself. Hold on. It's crazy you mentioned that. I've been told we are all connected by a silver string, so to speak, and we are attracted to others through, hold on, attracted to each other through the law of attraction. That's true. The law of attraction per se doesn't, I don't believe in the law of attraction in the conventional definition. The law of attraction really works when, it's like the retracting nature of the universe. You throw something out to the universe, it kind of, it molds into whatever you threw at it, and then it brings it back to you in a different way. It may not necessarily be inverted, in a sense like, well, I'm in a great and fantastic place. It may give you something really negative to test, like an old cycle or something. But like, but that's the exact thing that I'm talking about, is that, by being the best version of you, you're actually attracting that person in your life. You become a vortex to kind of positive vibes, right? And positive vibes being kind of like the umbrella of people, experiences, opportunities, people finding value in you, you affecting the world in a positive way, and then the world reciprocating in some kind of abundance back to you. And so what a lot of people don't understand is that people want to say to themselves, I want to find the one. And then I say to them, well, you have all these different aspects to your life that you're neglecting. It's almost like this isn't even really something you should be focusing on now, if not all the holes in your ship are patched and working. And not only working, but you created a whole, you've evolved your whole ship from like a little sailing ship to like the Titanic, right? You want to make sure that you yourself are in a good place for a relationship, for the one, and there's a lot of people that actually do find the one, And, I do some research on this thing called like twin flames or something. And there's just like an idea of, finding this like one person in life who, like, it's like this kind of crazy connection, and then whether you're ready for it or not. I just take that part of it because that's what matters most. I feel like anybody, as long as you have that attraction, you have that polarity, you have masculine and feminine polarity, it can work. Whatever MBTI type you may be, whoever you may be, or whoever you may identify with, it can work out, but you have to be in a healthy place to be able to take advantage of these kinds of experiences. Um, and it's very difficult for people to actually even realize that they're actually in the eye of the tornado, in a sense, where they've met somebody where they can have a huge opportunity with, yet something falters in that connection. And so you're too busy looking for somebody, meanwhile, or not even, maybe you weren't even looking for somebody, but you haven't been investing in yourself to be in a healthy place to find this person. This is actually way more common, I think. Actually, I think those are the two biggest issues right now, is that if you can overcome this idea of trying to find somebody, and then you can overcome this like lethargy of not investing in yourself, right? Then then you will find somebody. If you can work on yourself and you don't have to worry about finding somebody, that person will find you, and it will probably be in a really strange freaking way, but you will find that person. And it's really funny because I see it all the time. When people when they stop looking and they start looking within themselves, not to be cliche, but when you start to work on yourself, when you start to create the life that you just want to live yourself. And this is going to be my thing this whole year, is just advocating this idea of like living like life the way you want to, just be the architect. I've always thought about just, this philosophy of you being an architect, of your life, being somebody who, writes your own story. You can succumb to the daily the daily tasks of everyday life, and you may have a million excuses of why you can't invest in yourself, or why you need to find somebody, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, this is your story. You can make a million excuses. You can write that in there if you really want to. If you have people, if you have influencers in your life that are, a piece of crap, and they just, people are holding you back, you can leave that in your story if you want. But if you want something more, if you want to find this one person, you have to be a match for it. You have to find, or not even just the one, it can be friends, it can be a career. You have to, if you want to be a match to something, you're going to have to work for it. Like, I'll give you an example. If you want to run a business, or let's just say if you want to lift, if you want to, like, let's just say, you're working out, right? If you want to bench press 500 pounds, and the 500 pounds is like the girl or the guy that you want to meet. If I take you right now, can you lift that 500 pounds? Could you do it right now? Because if you could, that would mean that that person would actually instantly find you if you could do that. That makes sense. Like, if you could do that in that metaphor, and the metaphor, hopefully it makes sense, because the idea is that if you just do you long enough, and you just build and build and build on you, and you build on what you're doing and what you're doing to give back to the world, and you're working on yourself, and you're unraveling old conditioning, and you're creating new ways of existing for yourself, and you're just an overall positive experience, you are naturally, once you get to that benching of 500 pounds, and for me, it's happened so many times, and I can't be the only one. There are points of instant change in life where you overcome something, or you go through something, and then all these different things start happening to you. And so when you can lift those 500 pounds, when you when you work on your shit, when you work on you and who you are, and you're making the most of your life and you're actually writing your story, everything is going to change for the better. You're going to start to realize that things will just come into your life. And like, people act like it's the strangest thing that a great thing happens to them out of like a consistency of like nothingness. And then like they and I see this all the time. People are like, oh my God, I met this guy or this girl, or I got a job opportunity. And I'm like, do you not just like explore new opportunities all the time? Is this like you've been living like, 20, 30 years, 40 years already? You have not seen this yet? That things will happen to you once you want to change, and experience more. So I hope this is making sense. So I'm going to actually stop here, and I'm going to let the people in this room. We have a couple of other guests here. We have a Slack chat or a chat room community, and so we have a couple of people here. If you guys want to talk, you can unmute your mics, and if you guys want to talk about anything, this would be a great point to do that. And I'm just going to go over the chat. And if you guys have any questions in the chat here, anything to ask me or something, I will be here to respond. So yeah, Brian, Leo, or somebody named S, who I think you were here before, you can unmute yourselves if you know how to do that, or I'll mute and we'll see what's going on with you guys. So I can't actually talk while I don't have a mic. Okay, cool. So, oh, that's why you're forever on mute. I was wondering why. So Leo or S, forgot your name. Can you hear me? Are you there? Cannot hear you. Hold on. Hello? No, I'm talking to Leo or S. Do you guys have anything to like input on anything that I've been saying? Okay, cool. No worries. And you're okay. So it looks like both of you are good. But you look like you're in contemplation mode. I can't see what everyone else is doing. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I can move on. Yeah, like, I see like Lord Pharaoh, love at first sight. There is some truth in that, but in a different context. When you meet the one, you just know it's that simple, or you and making a judgment and commit to a person, even if you don't feel, it. Yeah. So like the idea is like, it's not like this really ambiguous search of like finding somebody, because you can, like if you pay attention, and Eckhart Tolle really loves this idea of like, if you really pay attention to what's going on, you will actually be able to sense, you'll actually be able to like see these kinds of people's, the influences in your life that can make a difference. And like, I know personally, when I meet somebody, whether it's for intimate or just friendship reasons, I can see between the lines of what people can mean to me. And when I meet somebody like the one, or a potential the one, it's very clear. It's very crystal clear, because it's not forced, right? It's kind of like how it's portrayed in like TV shows almost, and movies, where like, the main character can be focusing on the wrong person the whole time, and then there's this side character who's just been there waiting, right, this whole time, and just kind of just there in the crowd. And so the idea though is that when you look, it's not when you look hard enough, but it's kind of like just letting things happen. I'll give you an example from last night. I was actually, I was flirting with some girl, because I really found her attractive, but then I ended up finding that there's other girl this whole time at this event that I was at, that it was just it was like a better match, if that makes sense. And I actually resonated more with her than the person I thought I would resonate with. And so you can never choose when those situations happen, but you can only go along with what's obviously moving kind of the water along, right? And you know, you kind of have to always see yourself kind of in a canoe on a river, and that, you know, you have to kind of feel your groundingness in terms of, are you moving with the current, or are you trying to go upstream, and it's hard as hell to do because you know it's the wrong thing to do. And so last night, that was like a perfect example for me. And I go out all the time when I have these situations happen, you know, and it could just be by choice. And it's not like there's this grand story that has unraveled that I have not created. Um, you know, it's just about following your own intuition. It's about following what you want, and really understanding, you know, what you're looking for in the moment, and understanding the moment, and taking advantage of new experiences. Um, is it hard to know when a lot of it's hard to know when a lot of people out there don't know or won't admit to themselves what type they really are. It seems to me like cool. Oh, that's just random chat conversation. So anyway, I don't know if you guys have anything to say about so far finding the one in the chat rooms. I'm looking at the chat, guys. So if you have anything to chime in with, or talk, or ask me a question about this, but I hope my message though is clear, that if you want to find somebody in 2017, the the action, the force is not putting out necessarily in finding somebody, really getting out there, but it's just about living your life in the way that you exactly want to live, because then you'll have something match up to that. Yeah, I can do that, Benny. Love at first sight. You know, love at first sight, it's like a two-way street between fixation and lust, and just physical attraction. Oh, who is that? Hello? That is that Brian?
Hey, this is Brian.
Brian, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good. I was just going to touch up on this whole love thing real quick for Benny. Um, so to cut it short, it's love at first sight is a two-way street. It wouldn't exist if it didn't have any kind of paramount importance to the process of mating. It's there for mating purposes, but I believe that kind of suggestive experience is kind of being outlived by a more meaningful experience that's replacing it, which would kind of be like, you know, love at first sight really doesn't necessarily entail conversing with somebody. It doesn't necessarily have an interaction with it. It's kind of like like a story out of a movie, and you know, it doesn't really have quality with it. Love at first sight, though the person may be attractive, love at first sight is not necessarily a two-way street. Whereas I think people would rather have this meaningful transition to an experience where you're actually participating with each other, and there's a collaboration, and you're self realizing that this person can be way more significantly a better investment, or a better kind of experience for you, than somebody who may be more attractive, but just more physically, right? But there is something that does take over that. Like, I'll give you an example. Like the experience I was just saying, it wasn't love at first sight, but I was actually really attracted to this one woman over the other, you know, just by preference. But then upon realizing that the other woman that I was talking to was just a better match for me, you know, hormones take over and you start to calibrate. So love at first sight is it's very primal, and it doesn't necessarily entail that it will work because there's no actual relating yet. No, this girl is also Colombian. You know, I mean, yeah, they're all usually either Colombian or some kind of Spanish ethnicity. But that's my point. My point is you can't rely on love at first sight, and it's kind of like The Secret. that everybody knows about love at first sight. It's like, it's no secret that, it might not necessarily mean that it will work with somebody that you perceive like that, but it's about investigating that and experiencing somebody and seeing where the ride takes you, right? And so, that's always been my experience, is that, these love at first sight moments. Now, don't get me wrong, people can totally feel captivated and moved, right? Because there's a whole bunch of psychology that takes place, when you're interacting, even visually, with just somebody, and there's no other senses really taking place. But you get more of an experience when you're actually collaborating. And so that's what I was doing yesterday. I was actually, I realized really early on, I'm like, okay, this girl is very, this was like I felt primal towards one experience, but the other experience was just, it felt so much more interesting and real, right? Because I was participating. There's a difference. There's a difference between watching a movie and being in the damn movie. Well, which one would you rather be? Which one would you rather be doing? Not complicated at all, Jessica. Brian, did you have anything to add in? If you're still there.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah, and
Not much to add.
it's really not rocket science, but there's just like so many people though out there that this isn't their main focus, which it probably shouldn't be, because when you find somebody just out of randomness, which for the most part that's how it will probably happen, that's what you're going to have, is you're just going to be throwing someone right in front of you and like, what should I do? Because now this person is here, and I couldn't control this, because people have their own free will. And so you have that choice. Do I participate in where this may lead, or do I feel like that I'm not ready yet and I'll just keep moving on? And so I actually do have this kind of rule that I follow by personally. When I feel like I'm not in a place of meeting somebody romantically, I really don't. And when I'm given that opportunity, I just kindly reject it before it even starts, because I believe that once you start to initiate a collaboration, that's like your first time, last time kind of deal. And so if you were to ask me, well, wait, Dan, what do you believe in, like getting back together with your ex? There's no such thing. No such thing. Because at that point, you would have danced the dance with that person. And, now that dance, unless you're seeking that experience, that experience with that same person again for different reasons, other than long-term kind of results. Like if you just wanted to hook up, or you wanted to do something short-term, it's not. I don't think I'd ever suggest getting back together with your ex. I mean, there's a huge market in the kind of business community that I'm in, right? You see all the time, you see these advertisements on how to get back with your ex, and like how to have your ex come back to you, and all this other crazy magical stuff. And like, it's so funny that the same ingredients that I'm talking about cross relate into these other areas. If you just do if you just focus on your own work, you focus on your own humanitarian agendas, you're slowly going to start to see that that's why your ex would come back, that she sees, or he sees that value that you have now. You kind of evolved, you've adapted in a different way. And now there's, you become the new entity while the other person still is the same. And that's why a lot of people, they say, all right, well, we'll give this another try. And one person has definitely changed, and the other person is kind of still in the past, so to speak. It really depends. Like, are you really motivated to really change in that situation? Yeah, well, it's not even about enjoying brushing them off, but it's just about appreciating what you have and what you've always will have with that kind of that person. Um, you know, a really good example is like, and I'm going to use another context from my life. My first love, or the one, is getting married now, right? And my second, the one, is actually also getting married next year, and I'm happy for both of them. It's just like, it's their own journey, and you have to understand what you have to learn, and what you want out of these experiences. You have to ask yourself, why do I want to be with somebody? How will I grow with somebody that is called the one, when this person kind of enters your life? Because in that moment, you don't have that much time to really think about what these people mean to you. To be totally honest, you have the moment, and you have that one dance that you have. It may last 1 week or freaking 50 million, not 50 million years. It may last 50 years. You may dance with that person, get married to them, and then spend the majority of your life with this person. But you don't have that much time to think about it. The real questions to really ask yourself in that moment, when you meet somebody who's capable of like this, the one kind of mentality, is asking yourself, is this what I want now? Is this what I want for the future? If that's your goal. Wait, hold on. So that says I have a question here. Hold on, I gotta get it up. Um, what do you think about relationships that seem to go on and off constantly, but somehow that couple always get back together? Can this be one version of this one? Yeah. So the people that always get back together on and off and on and off, it's this struggle to identify with what each person not only wants, but this struggle to grow. You have two people who are living in this limbo of purgatory, a purgatory, that you're not growing and you're not going backwards, and this person is like your anchor to like neither here or there, right? Like if you imagine like the train to the Matrix, if you guys have watched the Matrix, where Neo is at the train station and he's waiting for the train to go there. It's like you're stuck with this other person there who's also not growing, and you're both are just always just kind of, when people go on and off and on and off again, that's what it actually looks like when you find a cycle that's outside of you. And so hopefully people understand in this call what a cycle is. When I say cycle, like a cycle where you're replaying certain experiences in your life personally. It may not have to do with other people, but an experience in your life where it's always causing you to stay where you are. Like an example could be like, let's just say you're bad with, I don't know, money, right? And you just can't learn how to invest. And so you always find yourself at one point when you make enough money, like, yeah, I can break out of, whatever. And then you just fall back right into some really crappy situation. And, or it can be, not being able to trust others, where you meet another person that you really think you can get along with and really build a relationship with, but then your lack of not being able to trust has you fall back in the same kind of route. So we all have different cycles and conditionings, but I hope my point is clear that, sometimes we can meet people that are actually like a direct manifestation of specific cycles that we live through. And so when you see people who are on and off, that's what that is. It's one person. It's actually both people matching up to their own bullshit. And it's just repeating and repeating because they both like that comfort of discomfort. And yet they both don't want to learn and grow out of it. And yet they're not in a better or worse place. They're just kind of staying in the same kind of infinitely. And so kind of, what I think about when I think about these people, I think about that Eminem music video with Rihanna, Love the Way You Lie. And it has like these two kind of actors in the music video who are like stealing things from grocery stores and having sex and making out and stealing more things and getting really pissed off at each other and being very volatile. There's a particular volatility to this kind of relationship, even though it may not specifically be physically volatile. It may be emotionally volatile. So I hope I answered your question, S. So you want to stay. The idea is that if you follow what I'm saying, if you do the personal growth work, if you do the self-actualization of knowing what you want in life, becoming the architect, growing, being the best version of you and who you are, you'll slowly, you'll always you'll become better than those relationships. You know, you'll become in a more, not in an enlightened place. And I use the word enlightened in the sense of when you're given the chance to go into a volatile relationship, you are in total awareness of like kind of how that will always look for you. You know, it's something that you know what will happen if you pursue that. And so it may not make sense. You know, sometimes people reject you or may reject you and say, you know what, I don't think we should be in a relationship, and they just say no. And then the other person might say to themselves, like, and just not understand why. But that other person knows why, because we all have, and I've mentioned this in a video before, we all have vices or certain people where we're prone to certain cycles. We're prone to certain negativities and the nuances of the BS in our own lives that we're trying to move past and kind of resolve and mend. And so sometimes people are, you know, we sometimes find ourselves meeting people who are a direct match to that issue. We're trying to put out the fire, and then you meet somebody who's gasoline, and they're like, "Oh, I want to join," and you're like, "No, no gasoline. I already got a fire I'm trying to put out." You know, um, so you know, this year, you know, sorry if I missed this, but how are we defining the one exactly? The one is just a multitude of ones that are possibilities, given the chance that you are in a place of, you know, you're just pretty much that you're in a good, balanced, and purposeful place. Um, so, man, I lost my train of thought. But so anyway, I know we just actually had somebody joined, Emily. So I don't know if you have anything to say at this point. I don't know if you've been following along. If you want to chime in and stop me, feel free. Um, I'm going to transition, guys, to a different topic. So if you want to talk about anything that I've said, uh, do so now or forever hold your peace. But I'm going to move into, you know, what this kind of looks like over time for the next year for you if you choose to kind of go along this path of what I'm saying of you're not really trying to look for somebody, right? And so what does that look like? You know, like, Dan, like, what do I do if I want to find the person, but that means working on myself, right? Like, what does that look like? And, you know, first of all, it's going to be really uncomfortable because the reason why people look for people is because there's this need, you know, there's this sense of I'm lonely or I want this, or I see a couple canoeing together and you're like, I want that, or oh look, that couple is checking out puppies and like, oh, I want a pet too. And so you're gonna run you know, that's life though. You're gonna run into these experiences that you want because you haven't had them yet. And so it's gonna make you more lustful for these experiences. But you have to remember though, that these experiences will come when you are ready, right? And that it's only when you are ready, like I told you, when you are ready to lift the 500-pound bench press, that this person will just come into your life. And so when you think about what you have to do, right? You know, should you go on dating apps? Should you get out there? Of course, be out there, but don't forget to neglect the personal investments that you need to do. You need to work on. And I literally just made this video, guys. It's not yet done. It should be uploaded soon. I'm doing a series for taking action now, where you can just watch a video I do and take whatever tools and resources or methodologies I use and just use it right after the video. So one of the things that you can actually Google right now is called the Wheel of Life. You can look up the Wheel of Life and kind of see where you are in each one. It's just a different dimension of every part of your life. And so why that's relevant now, it's like, okay, so, you know, you can still go on dating apps. You can still go out to the bar if that's where you think you'll meet the one, which you know, most likely not. Do the things that you love to do. You know, change the world in the way that makes sense to you, but also keep in mind that you have a personal obligation and responsibility to evolve yourself for the life that you want to live, right? And if I asked you, write 10 things down as a checkpoint to your life that you want accomplished, right? Like by 30 or 40, you want to live somewhere or do something or accomplish that something or write that book or run those miles, right? Are you in the position to accomplish those things now? Do you equal that lifestyle? 100% no, because you're not living that freaking lifestyle yet. So you have a lot of growing to do in different areas of your life. And so, like I mentioned before, do you think you're a match to that person you think that you want to be with? More often than not, you're not with that person now because you're not that person. So you have to grow into that person, but you have to grow into that person in a way that makes sense for you, because this is you. You have particular goals and things to work through, and you may have unexpected changes that are still good, but they're just different from what you planned, because we just don't know everything about ourselves. If we knew that, then we would be able to have anybody we wanted, or the life that we always wanted all the time. You believe that you have to be the best you can be and love yourself before you can get into a healthy relationship, or should a relationship help you in these aspects? Yes and no. You don't have to be the best person, right? Nobody's perfect, but you have to be en route to have en route to be balanced. You have to be balanced overall. You have to have your direction down. You have to have just certain elements of what I'm talking about down. Damon, yeah, perfection isn't ideal. So the idea is, you just want to be the best you can be, not the best version of you. Just do you, be who you are, identify with who you are, and know that you're just in a growing process. You should never feel ashamed or neglect aspects of a dynamic just because you don't believe you're the best of who you are. Just be you. And in turn, part of relationships is the exchange of new knowledge and experiences. One thing I always tell my guy clients, I'm like, all right, it's time to create a strategy for what you want. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you're not just going to get a relationship and that's it. It's not like you're just buying a pet, right? And then that's it. There's got to be a reason for why you want a relationship. There's probably areas that you want to grow, and you're seeking a relationship to grow in particular areas. So you have to know, what you want. You have to know why you want to be in a relationship. There's a lot of people out there, and it disgusts me to my core that people are just in relationships to be in relationships. And so they take out the human element of growing for the self, and just coexisting and just existing and being codependent on this comfort living with, or just being with somebody. We all know these people who just coexist, and they just wander through life in a purgatory of, oh, I'm with this person, and they just go throughout the different filaments of life, the different stages, and there's no spirituality to it. There's no vibrance to it. And, there's no purpose. The main benefactor to relationships is there's something to grow from. Like, I'll give you a good example. Like, I have, and I'm not trying to just bring my life into this, I've been with so many different people for so many different lengths of time that lasted, they were visiting briefly to a couple of years. And so, like, there's just so many different kinds of relationships out there. It's just a matter of what you're looking to gain and explore with another individual. And, we just have a lot of people out, like so many people out there who are maybe in relationships for like the ideal image, depending on your culture, trying, like, maybe believing that the fallacy of your own personal beliefs matches that relationship, right? Like, this person like enjoys my ideals, that means that this may be long term. But you have to have a purpose to why you actually are with somebody. You have to grow with them in a particular way. There's got to be some kind of underlying or umbrella factor that brought you two together. It may be that you feel strongly connected to one another. But then if you got to ask yourself, what do you really want from that relationship? that connectingness that you have with somebody, and this is something that I always do when I connect myself to somebody, before it becomes intimate. I'm like, wait, hold on. What is my next kind of objective with this person? Because there's got to be a reason for me to be connected. Like, I'm not just gonna blindlessly connect to somebody and not know what is going to happen to me, because we change over time, with the people that we connect to. You can kind of say that, when you were with somebody, you download a little bit of them and you synthesize that, and then you just become somebody different. So you have to remember, that there's always a reason and purpose to being with somebody. There's areas of growth that you can totally learn from the other person and vice versa, right? But this involves intimacy. It involves openness and vulnerability. It involves a very mindful kind of approach to relationships. And so if you get to this part in 2017, if you find somebody, remember to ask yourself, why? And then ask yourself, what can we both accomplish together? What can we both do to enhance this experience together? Because now we're in it. We're in the dance, right? I relate a lot of things in life to like a sacred dance, because like relationships, it is a sacred dance. You connect with somebody and you're doing the waltz for God knows for like how long. You never know how long a connection is going to last, whether it's just with a friend, a family member, somebody more than just friends. Um, Sometimes you don't end up synchronizing with somebody. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but you just move on. You appreciate for what it was, and then you take note of what that meant to you and the other person, and you respect and appreciate what that was, and you move forward. So I hope that this makes sense, that in 2017 you're not necessarily venturing out there and trying to discover like an artifact or somebody and be like, oh look, I dug up the one, here it is, and then that's it, right? Because this is all it's just all like an experiencing. It's just all different chapters of your life over time. Like I was explaining before, there's no just the one. There's no damn twin flame. There's a whole bunch of twin flames. There's a whole bunch of people that you can connect with. You just got to be in the right place, in the right mindset, and you got to be doing doing your own duty to yourself and giving back to the world. And it's in one of my philosophies that purpose is like for masculine energy anyway. Purpose is really an umbrella energy for all the other parts of your life. And so when a guy asks me, how do I get a girl? I'm like, do you know your purpose? That's like the first thing that comes out of my mouth. I'm like, what's your purpose? And then they're just like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, well, then I don't know too, because last time I checked, most guys are able to accomplish so many different things, especially, with women when they have that purpose. Purpose is a very powerful energy for people who have masculine energy. It gives you confidence, it gives you self-esteem and value. If you have feminine energy and you care for the well-being of others, and you aspire to fun and enjoyment and caringness of others versus the non-caringness of others, you have to look at what you value. So I'm going to stop there, by the way, real quick. And if anybody has questions, again, open forum. I'm opening this up. And if you do want to join in, by the way, to this call, let me know, and I will send you a message with a link to join in. Or what I could just do is throw in the invite button down there. And for the people who want to, so if there's people out there who want to join in, just write, I want to join, and then I'll send the link down there. We have a question, Daniel. How do you know they aren't growing? Isn't that judging? I agree. Some people are codependent, but we only see the tip of the iceberg. right? I didn't even see the word iceberg, but I knew where you're going with that. That's true. How many person finds such passions that would create a true purpose in life? All right, I will. Carl Bennington. So I want to answer this question by Jessica. It's not about knowing if the person's growing or not, but it's about knowing if you're both resonating together still, right? So like in the example that S brought up, the question of, these two people that are in this discord over time and they're just going through each other's cycles, you can tell if you're not growing when you're not creating new experiences and opportunities. When you're just Netflix and chill, you're hanging out with the same couples and the same groups of friends and the same family members, going to the same places, same Starbucks, the same friends. If you're honest with yourself, you can actually start monitoring how much opportunities to stagnancies you are experiencing with somebody. That makes sense. I'll give you an example. We all have had that relationship or that part of a relationship where it was so exciting in the beginning, and then over time you end up just staying in. We're just going to watch some TV tonight. We got each other, right? But that's not really a new experience, right? There's a lot of people who would say, oh, let's go out, and then the other person's like, nah. So and it's mostly the guy who gets comfortable, right? That's really on him. That's him thinking that he doesn't have to do anything else. But the idea here is that that's up to you to decide.
True.
If you want more out of a relationship, if you feel and you think that it's not growing, this is something to communicate with your partner. If you think that, and it's almost like, for me personally, I visualize like a line graph, right? If it's going great, it's good. And then, oh shit, comfort. Oh no, comfort. No, we're staying inside. No, we're not growing. Because if you realize most of like arguments people have with each other, it's not when they're experiencing new things together. It's not when there is no height. There is no like height point to opportunity. It's always like this, always expanding. It's always when you're declining or stagnating within a relationship that people start to argue and fight, because the principles in which you grounded that relationship in are not there anymore. And so, for women, it's like they want to know what the new established principles are subconsciously. For the men, it's like, wait, those principles are still here. I'm just being lazy, but I don't want to tell that to you because I have pride, And so you have a bunch of men who are not really playing up to par with their masculinity most of the time because they're not purposeful. They haven't harnessed purpose as an energy source that actually uplifts them to do the many things that they're capable of doing. So you have a really roller coaster ride there. So I answered that question. I hope that helps you out. You want to join? Yes, you can join. Anybody can join. That's the cool thing about me over Damon is that I like a party. Hold on, I gotta shoot. Here's the party. I'm bringing it to you. So anyway, I hope that question was that the answer was on point to the question. I like how everyone's just always saying so true, but there's no questions. There's like the one question. Brian, did you have anything to add to that or no? It was pretty much like straight on.
No, you pretty much answered everything how I would answer it, or
yeah. It's pretty straightforward. Like it's really funny because if we bring this back to typology, I firmly believe that regardless if you're a sensor or a thinker or a feeler, you can always come to the same conclusions in different ways. And you can always tell when you can always know that when a couple is arguing, it's because they're struggling to grow forward. It's just facts. Why do you really on your partner? Why do you rely on your partner to grow? False. You don't rely on your partner to grow. It's an exchange. It's you both exchange experiences to grow, but you're always growing yourself. Always growing yourself. If I gave off the idea that you're growing just from your partner, it's such a lie. Not the case at all. You're always growing, but you you connect with somebody to experience something new. You're experiencing something totally new, and there's an exchange in experiences, an exchange in skills, an exchange in growth in different areas of life. That's the cool thing about people, is that we all have something to offer different. We all have life experiences to share. We all have different skills that we just naturally possess. And so we don't rely on partners for growth. Absolutely not. But what we do rely a partner on is to somehow give back to us something that we were looking for. A lot of relationships are founded, in a healthy way. They can be founded on exploring something that you willingly want to learn from, right? Like, let's just say you want to date like a badass biker chick or a biker dude, right? And you're like, wow, like that's an aspect of myself, right? Keyword. Wow, that person's an aspect of myself that I haven't explored yet. This person goes against my own values, but I believe that this is something that can help me grow past my own limiting beliefs, right? So people sometimes choose to date or be with the opposite type or value system that they themselves possess, because they want to learn and grow out of their comfort. I guess it comes down with personal preferences, expecting your partner to fulfill all your needs. Yeah, that's called codependency, and I don't condone that. Codependency is the death. It's like the STDs of relationships. You don't want codependency because it will slowly destroy the relationship. Like freaking like fire, like setting like someone fire at a stake, like a slow moving death. So we have Carl in here. Carl, how are you doing?
Doing good.
Now, do you have anything to comment on anything I have mentioned, or you're just here for the fun?
Well, I'm actually just listening to you. I actually love your observation and your advice. I think I agree on a lot of the stuff that you're saying.
Is there anything that really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I think about when people when they break up, they're not growing. I do agree with that. Like I said, if you're like stuck in a rut, it's kind of hard to explain.
I'll explain it when you can.
Okay.
Let's see. Someone asked if, surely there's a limit to growth, right? And then all I have to say to that is, well, we still have a civilization, right? That's based on new experiences. New experiences, creates life pretty much. So until we become all knowing and, which is still a long time from now, then humanity will probably not exist anymore. But, yeah, we will always grow. That, we're almost on a fundamental level, I think humanity is kind of, it's in our DNA to always experience. If we don't experience, we die. That's why we get into arguments in relationships when the relationship is stagnating, because once you're not experiencing anymore, you're not creating new opportunities. You're not generating new experiences for yourself to grow, right? So pretty much in all aspects of life, whether it's in business, whether it's even in your personal life, if you don't experience new things, you just kind of you don't really grow. Yeah. And that's the cool thing, is that through humanity's imperfection, we always just continuously go forward and always learn, and that's pretty much it. Expecting always novelty from your partner is unfair for them, right? And yeah, that is totally true. I'm not saying that you should expect novelty from total novelty from your partner, because like I said, once you connect with that person, it's a pretty big responsibility. That's why I mentioned before, when I said before I intimately connect with somebody, you want to make sure that this is the right decision that you're willing to go down, because you connect with all of that person. You don't just connect with the parts that you see, right?
Yeah. Oh.
The idea is just to live in the moment with that partner and experience, you know, and calibrate and learn and grow and to enjoy yourselves, pretty much, new experiences, you know. But putting expectation, that's a whole nother topic. Putting expectation on people is never a good thing, because, you know, putting expectation on people is really putting a demand on yourself to know something, or to be in security of knowing something, right? Out of fear of discomfort. So let's see. Carl, I'm just gonna do that real quick to you. I don't know if it worked. But so yeah, I'm trying to think of what other things to bring up in your ventures to 2017. Pretty much, if you do what I mentioned, and you you know, you grow, you know, you do the personal investment, you do personal growth stuff. You know, you're doing all. Oh, we have a new person, Emily. Welcome. Wait, oh, Emily was here before. She wasn't talking, I don't think. Yeah. But so yeah, I think everybody remembers what I was saying before about like what you need to do for yourself anyway. You know, I could continue the story of what an average, you know, average person would say, you know, starting from scratch. Like, okay, I don't know where to start when looking for the one. We got to remember there's a lot of the ones out there for you, but are you ready for that one? Are you a match to that one? Are you living your life wholeheartedly to be with that one, to be a match to that person? Are you actually getting what you want out of life right now? Because if you're not, then that relationship wouldn't even make any sense. All right. So somebody mentioned, I find myself pursuing people already in relationships. Well, that's the idea. You have part of it down. You see, when you try pursuing people in relationships, it's really saying that you're not experiencing, per se, meeting new people, right? And so that goes hand in hand with new opportunity. So you really need to get out there and just go to places that you do, things that you love to do, go to places that you enjoy, and you'll find somebody. And, you know, being with someone, I'm just assuming that you have feminine energy if you're a woman, or if you're a guy. Don't know. Levy is like an interchangeable, I don't know, name. But just get out there. That's the idea, is just get out there, grow on yourself, you know. You know, don't focus on, believe it or not, just don't focus on relationships, and surely something will happen. You know, the idea, if you think, I want to share with you guys a philosophy that I have, because I do a lot of like investing, and I do a lot of finance stuff. I learned through a mentor, an online mentor, a very true fact about something, right? Guy, I already started trying to go to the events alone. Oh, so all right, I wanted to share this, but I'll get back to you. Wait, isn't it financial issues the main conflict in long-term relationships? Yeah, that's a big part of that. A lot of people don't learn basic kind of skills to kind of live and survive by yourself. And so, you know, though that really stems from a lot of different areas like communication, and kind of in this idea of sharing skills and teaching one another something in a relationship. That's really the whole epitome of the relationship. Yet a lot of people miss that. I will get into that, Kaz Mukaduster, but I wanted to bring up this one topic of for Levy. I think it was Levy, where in finance, there's this concept that I really appreciate, and it's pretty much money should never stop moving, because money is technically energy, right? Money is, yes, it's a currency, but money is an energy. And so what happens to energy when it stops moving, right? Like a relationship that starts to pause and stagnate, it goes backwards. And so, energy is meant to be utilized and to be made into something else. So how this kind of translates into relationships and finding somebody is that you always move and people always move. And that on if you're on a route, if you have like a path that you're walking, you just keep walking, because there are like billions of different intersections, right? Not just an intersection where it's like, oh cool, one person, but there's like millions of different intersections like this, just traveling around, right? And like intersections will meet along with other intersections. And so like people never stop moving. And so if you're always in a place, if you're always in a position of growth, right, you're always going to be maximizing on your opportunities, right? So like money, which is an energy that always needs to move to be made into something else, which is most likely more money in some form. You need to always grow and always not move as well, because when you stop moving, you're not growing, you're not learning new things, you're not experiencing new things or opportunities. And so that's where you're really limiting and not really creating more of a probability to meet that person. Take it, like see it like this: if you're in your house all year, you're not going to meet that person because you're not moving, you're not getting out there. But if you leave your house every day and you stumble onto the population that you exist in, and you meet people, right? I'll give you an example. When I was living in Brooklyn, I went to the New York City. I did an event that I was hosting, and then after the event, I went to I didn't go to a library. I went to a coffee shop to read a book, and at that coffee shop to read a book, I saw this other very attractive female also reading a book, and I'm like, what are the odds that this person is here reading a book like me? We're the only two people reading a book, and it was almost like one of those movie scene things like you'd see. And we started talking, and walked her back to her train, got her number, and that was it. And it was pretty cool. But the idea is that you miss every opportunity that you just miss. Like when you don't take that chance, you miss that opportunity. And that kind of stems into sales, but at the same time, it's so true. If that makes sense, you gotta get out there. If you find that you're hanging out with the same people, you just got to get out there more. There's just like a life over that hill of the sameness that you keep existing in. Allegory of the cave is a really good example of what that kind of mindset I'm thinking of. Describe more what you mean by feminine or masculine energy, or do you have a video on the subject? I believe I do. We have a lot of live streams that talk about that, actually. So if you want, we do have a live stream about masculine and feminine energy that I did. But to sum it up, I mean, you can Google it, but there are certain principles if you follow masculine and feminine energy. If you have masculine energy, you're more likely a male, although females can possess masculine energy dominantly over feminine energy. Most women are predominantly feminine, have feminine energy, but can also have masculine energy, and so vice versa for men. Men can have dominant feminine energy and recessive masculine energy. It really depends on what you resonate with more, but each have different characteristics and a different way to approach life, a different way to exist in life. So I would look more into that. We do have a video we did like maybe a couple weeks ago on it. Let's see. Good for you, Levy. Blah blah blah. I think purposeful and knowing. Yeah, I mean, purpose is a really big one. It's either purpose or vision, or purpose, vision, or your motivations or your passions. These things are what brings you your own uniqueness. Like I always tell men, You're never really competing against the male population. You're only really competing towards you're only really competing against yourself, and every guy is going to be unique in their own way, which makes them the best candidate for that woman. But it's really going to be up to, at the end of the day, it's not up to your uniqueness. It's about if that uniqueness fits that woman. It's like a square and a square kind of puzzle thing. Like the square, if the woman is a square and you're a square, your uniqueness meets that other person, then it's going to work out. But if it's a triangle and a square, like not every uniqueness will fit every woman. This is why douchebags can't be with every woman in the world. They can't get the notoriety because just being on the spectrum of where they are being douchebags, they have a limited market potential. And so I'm not going to get into this because this is more like this is deeper stuff, but pretty much on the spectrum in which particular kind of males exist in, without growth, they only have a certain range of, you can be male or female in this area, but every kind of particular person has a certain range or market that they can naturally dive into and be very popular in as far as mating goes. But to grow and to increase that range and to understand what range works best for you, you have to explore. You have to live beyond what and evolve, and just kind of evolve beyond beyond what you think who you are. Wait, what do you think about relationships that seem to go? Wait, hold on. Lord Furno says essentially competing against yourself would be overcoming unnecessary risk aversion and general self-set inhibitions. Totally right. I like how you worded that, Lord Furno. Very good. I'll repeat that again for everybody watching. Essentially, competing against yourself would be overcoming unnecessary risk aversion and general self-set inhibitions. So, like, when you open up the can of worms, that is, really taking the matter at hand. It's not that you're competing against other men or women against other women. It's that when you direct the fight or the competitiveness towards yourself, you're actually saying to yourself, you know what? I didn't score that chick, or I didn't get a date with that beautiful woman, or I didn't, that guy didn't ask me out because maybe I wasn't resonating with my feminine energy if I'm a woman, or I tried pursuing that woman, but I know that I'm personally not in a whatever space, or my uniqueness or whatever wasn't really a match, and I don't really when I'm really true with myself and in my heart, I don't think this would work out, right? And it's about listening to it's about understanding that it's not really even about competing with yourself, but it's about being a match for yourself, and then this other person is second, right? It's about not being complacent with who you are ever when it comes to the world of mating. In the world of mating, if you're complacent, then you're dying. You're stagnating. And either gender wants to be with somebody unique and interesting and valuable, right? That's kind of like the general principles that we kind of look for generally. Women don't want to be with an unvaluable male, right? Like, if for any of the women watching this, you don't want to be with a guy who is just kind of like, he could have no renown, he could have no popularity, he does nothing with his time that translates to something meaningful for others. He has nothing that he's passionate about. This isn't somebody that you'd want to be with, even if it was another gender. I don't. People keep bringing up perfection. You just need to look the perfection of the person and overlook the imperfections. If she is the one, no, you appreciate her imperfections and help her grow in the areas that are dark. Similarly to the guy, if he has dark areas, then you help him through those areas as well. You help him grow in those areas. You don't turn a blind eye to things you don't like about the other person, because now you're connected to that person. Happy New Year's to you too. But I hope it makes sense that, you know, if you choose to opt in and connect with somebody, and I think I'm going to be leaving it at this, guys. If you choose to opt in and connecting with somebody, um, you sign up for the whole person. And so it's like saying you buy a car, and you buy the car for the exterior. You buy the car because you really like that red on the outside, but then on the inside it's this horrible, ugly wood color. And maybe you hate wood, and you're like, damn it, I hate this wood color. But you get into the car every day to go to work, and you see this wood color, and you just pretend like it's not there, and you look at the road, and you're like, nope, this wood color doesn't exist, until one day you have to look at the wood color because you spilled something. You're like, I hate this freaking wood color, right? You know, so you have to remember that you sign up for the person. And so maybe that's fate's way of saying, hey, you sign up for this person, that these things crept up over time, and things that you maybe probably couldn't have known about like somebody. Like, you sign up for somebody because of one reason, and some other things kind of creep up on you, and you're like, wow, like, I don't know if I really like this. But you know what? It's not up for you to like or dislike, because this is you may not like it, but this person lives with that. Right? Let me rephrase that. For all of you people who don't understand to appreciate people's negatives and not just their positives, you know, you may dislike something about somebody, but what if they know about it and they also dislike that as well, and they can't do anything about it? Do you know how many people and couples I've seen have this issue where the guy or the woman has an issue, and they don't want this issue. They don't want this negative thing in their life, this darkness. And the other person puts it on the other person like it's their fault, right? It's not, you know, yes and no. They've been somehow conditioned to have this thing creep into their life. And maybe it's a drinking problem. Maybe it's a gambling problem. Maybe it's an anger problem. Or maybe it's just lack of lack of skill of finance, or lack of purposefulness. Whatever their darkness is, you can hold it to them, hold them up like to the light with a dagger, and be like, you have this darkness. But at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to live with that darkness. You know what I mean? And like, that's a really horrible thing. You know, when I see people take out on the other person who has this darkness, like, oh, you have this darkness, whatever it is, and then they're like, they get so upset and frustrated or mad or upset because they have to deal with it. And when you go against that person's darkness, you're literally saying to that person, you know, you're on this side of the field, I'm on the other side. I'm not with you on this darkness. I'm not going to help you with this darkness. You know, if you're with somebody, help them freaking grow out of that, or help them deal with it, whatever it is. Maybe that person doesn't have a leg or something. Well, I don't know if I could date you anymore because you don't have a leg. It's weird for me. Well, you know what? You signed up for that. Why don't you help that other person working with whatever their darkness is, instead of being resistant, you know, and understand why you're actually being resistant yourself to that darkness, right? You know, this is kind of tiptoes on when relationships get one-sided. But I hope that idea stands, is that when you know, I don't know how I got on this topic of darkness, but when you have things you don't appreciate, oh, it's a comment. When you don't appreciate something about someone else, remember that they're the ones who are living with it, not you, right? Just remember that. Yeah, yeah. Vader is a quadruple amputee. That is very true. Yeah, just so many people. It's especially the people who are new to relationships, who don't see this connection to like them and the other person's darkness. Like, they don't want to be connected to it because it's whatever, and there's a separation. Yeah, remember, you signed up for this person. You signed up for that person, and the darkness came about because you're their light, and you shine the light. And now there's that darkness. You're going to turn a blind eye when you're connected with that person. That's like a bank. That's like a bank getting robbed, and then saying, yeah, you know, we saw that, you know, we could save only a certain number of accounts, and, you know, your credit isn't that great. So we just, you know, we couldn't save yours, you know, even though our banks were robbed. We had a chance to, you know, save some, a particular amount of accounts. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a judgment, but it's a judgment that doesn't help the relationship at all. So on that note, if there are no more questions, I hope this was a good video for you guys on this topic of how to engage yourself with 2017. I changed the bandwidth here. Yeah, so if you guys don't have any more, we do have another question. Guys, by the way, if you are in the chat too, you can speak up or forever hold your peace. How can you tell through when the darkness is too much, and even though you care about them, you should move on? All right, so there's a difference between working with somebody's darkness and then it taking over the relationship. If somebody's depressed and that's their darkness, you want to help them and motivate them to get out of it. But if they are not willing to move forward, there's a difference between one person having the darkness and wanting to move into an orientation of health and growth out of it, or dealing with it, and the other person also wanting that. There's a place of two people growth, two people being growth for that darkness trying to get out, and the person not wanting to grow out of it, out of comfort, if that makes sense. So how can you tell through, though, when the darkness is too much, and even though you can't care about the person, that's a situation where the person isn't growing out of it. They're in a place of like chaos, and they shouldn't even be in a relationship to begin with. They should come back to that relationship once they've somehow resolved, that situation. This is actually one of those relationships where I would actually say it may actually be one of those relationships where they both complement each other in a negative way, and it's the cycles and whatever. But typically you wouldn't want to be with this kind of person because they have not yet created that balance to actually, be in a relationship, right? If you really think about it, if you're not in a balanced place personally, and you're not doing all these things that I have mentioned, then somebody like this isn't ready. Like if we take this direct person that you're talking about, LG, into consideration, this person isn't ready to be in a relationship. Wasn't ready to be in a relationship when they were with the person, that whoever they're with. They're not ready now. They have to do that personal work. That's what I'm saying about this year. Do the personal investment and figure out your own shit. Do your personal growth. Get raw with yourself and figure it out, and bring people on the way. Get people to help you out. Get supported. Do things you love to do. Grow. Grow out of the retardation that is the darkness, because it's just really conditioning or lack of something that you're missing, because you need something. And so the darkness creeps up for whatever reason. Just move on. Like this person that you're talking about in the comments of, this person has so much darkness and blah, blah, blah. This person isn't obviously ready to be in a relationship, regardless if they thought they were ready or not to be in one. They obviously weren't. Like that's like me saying, I'm going to invest in this, in Apple. Okay, cool. How many stocks do you want to buy? Oh, but I don't want to buy any stocks yet because I'm broke. Like, do you not see like that you're not ready? You know what I mean? Okay, cool. You want to take that job in California? Yeah. But I live in New York. Oh, well, I can't get to California. Oh, well, then you're not ready. Let me know when you are ready, right? It's just, you can't put relationships first when you're in a state of crisis. The other person already recognizes there is a darkness and is trying him or herself to improve, and you are helping it continue. You're helping the darkness continue. If the person recognizes it and they're trying to get out of it and you're trying to help, then that's good. But you have to ask yourself to a point where, are you still, if you guys are still growing, great. If you're still not codependent, great. You're self-reliant, independent, great. Are you experiencing new things with this person? Great. Are you guys enjoying your time? Great. You have to look at the overall health of the relationship when it comes to it. The darkness should be no more than like 10, even 15% of the relationship. If it's more than 15% of the relationship, then it's not going to work. You have to separate, because then you're connecting to something that's going to contaminate your own growth. it's going to change you in a way that you may not want to change in. This is going to be the last one I respond to, and it's from Levy. I found myself interested in someone 6 years older, never would have thought. So I lie to myself that I have a chance with them in order to become more mature. Thoughts? So you want to grow to be, you think you need to grow to be able to be with this person, when if it were actually real and tangible, just being yourself would be enough, right? You are enough as is for the people that are interested. And so submitting to any other kind of way of being is out of your element. It's out of who you are, and it's doomed for short-term start. So, when you think it's totally okay to date people older or younger, but you have to remember that you are always enough in every moment. And, there's this like ultimate kind of test of, you're growing, you're doing you're just focusing on your shit. You're it's personal growth, motivation, purpose. You're helping people. Then freeze time. Somebody comes into your life, like this person, 6 years older. Cool. Now this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. This is who I am, and I'm enough. Right? You have to realize that you're always growing, you're always doing these things, the personal investment and everything. When you meet somebody, that is who they're going to know. That's who you are, and you shouldn't be anything other than who you are, because that is uniquely you. That essence is why they would want to be with you. If you start being something else that is not you, and authentically, then again, like I said, you're not competing against yourself anymore. You're competing against the other male population, and once you do that, you lose right away. So I'll recite that again. When you have the methodology of being competitive against the other human population of males, you instantly lose. When you are competing against yourself for the betterment of yourself, for mating with other people, then that's where you're going to grow. But the moment you think that you need to change yourself to be with somebody, you're subjecting yourself to the idea, or the subconscious idea of competition with other males, and then you're done. No chance. It's doomed, even if it does work out for a little while. We have two more responses, and I want to close, guys. To finalize, this is from Lord Furno. To finalize the matter, a meaningful relationship requires two well-prepared individuals willing to band together in the face of adversity. Yeah, and the idea to want to grow and experience new things. If such, then it does require a high degree of commitment. Yeah, it does involve commitment. How much should you put into a relationship, and how much would you receive as a rule of thumb, in proportion to what you invest, of course. Yeah, every relationship is going to be different. Like I said, you can be with somebody for a week or 2 weeks, but the idea is to stay focused, present, and appreciate the moments you have with this person, and the commitment will be there regardless. There are people that I've been with only a couple of weeks, and I'm still very committed to our friendship, or whatever it has grown into. So you have to remember, everybody's different. Everybody has different contexts of commitment and all these things. Every relationship is different from the next. So I think I'm going to end there, guys. So if you want, you guys can always find me if you're new and tuning in for the first time. You can join us at our Slack chat. You can go to mbtv.com and sign up for Slack, which is our chat room area for personal growth. And you can always talk to me there, or you can always comment in this YouTube video once it's uploaded, right after I end the call. And you can ask me questions there. You can email me at daniel@mbtvcoach.com. If you think that I missed something out, or you have something to say, I'm all ears. If you want to work with me, you just go on our website and you just submit a consultation, and we can start talking about how we can help you find the one for this year. But anything else, where to reach me. There's tons of links to find me, and you know, hopefully going forward, you know, I will start actively adding people into calls. I really like that idea because I like talking to people, though I didn't talk to too many people besides Brian in this call. You know, at some point you all are all welcome to come on for as long as it's relevant and you want to talk about something, you know, personal to you think you can grow through. So again, I hope you guys like this video, and you can catch me on Slack chat or email or YouTube and comment, and you will most likely see me there. So, you know, hope you guys gained a lot out of this, and I will see you next time. Cheers.